Welcome to another episode of the Plutus Awards Podcast. Our community is filled with hundreds of stories from creators and entrepreneurs just like you. And through this show, we share these stories of challenges and successes, from bloggers to podcasters to writers, speakers, and more. Today's guests are Piggy and Kitty, the founders and writers of the blog Bitches Get Riches. Bitches Get Riches has been featured in the New York Times, Bad with Money with Gabby Dunn, and won the 11th annual Plutus Awards for Personal Finance Blog of the Year. We talk about how they grew their blog by being themselves, why it's a disservice to the finance media industry if we all end up turning out the same types of content, and how you can monetize your blog without relying on corporate dollars. Let's dive right into my conversation with Piggy and Kitty from Bitches Get Riches. Let's start off with the idea of breaking all the rules, because as I'm sure many in the personal finance space know, both you with Bitches Get Riches have, broken the rules, right? There's the cussing, there's the really cool graphics, all of those things. So walk me through when you both decide to start this. Why did you decide to not really follow any of those rules, or air quote rules?
It was all her fault. It was entirely her idea. I had nothing to do with it.
This is a gross misrepresentation. We are both degenerates.
It's true. It's true. I am lying through my teeth. We got a lot of advice from best blogging practices. And we kind of poked around at what wasn't really the competition at the time, but, sort of aspirational other blogs. And we sort of saw how they did things. And we were told, don't cuss on your blog. So obviously we decided that our name had to be Bitches Get Riches. Sorry for your PG audience. We were told to, keep headlines short and clickbaity, keep articles tight and to the point. And we are kind of famous for putting out, 2,500 word deep dives into topics.
Why write 500 words when you could write 5,000 is the Bitches Get Riches motto.
The more the merrier. The more inappropriate jokes about money, the merrier. So yeah, I know. I think it was a little bit like we didn't expect to be super successful. So it was like, where's the harm in breaking the rules?
Exactly. The low pressure situation that we set up for ourselves was more like, let's write all of our financial advice down so that we can stop texting all of it to our friends, because our thumbs are very tired and we just can't keep up anymore. We need to type with the full keyboard. I think really like our definitive choice about kind of like putting what do you put in the ground? A stake, a marker? A steak?
I mean, I eat steaks, but if you insist.
We put our sirloin steak in the ground when we were going through a list of potential names that we had come up with, and we had a lot of them on there. I think it was one of the only Excel documents that we've ever used. Mm-hmm. And when we thought of the name Bitches Get Riches, immediately what we realized is that was a name that would immediately telegraph to everyone who was not our audience, this ain't for you, and it's fine. Like, carry on. There are many, many other options for you out there. But we just realized that was an immediate sort of a gatekeeper to like, how do we find our people? We just tell them right up front, here's who we are and here's who we're making this for.
Absolutely. And there have been people who have stumbled across it who are like, I don't like the language that you use, please clean up your language. And we're like, hey, there's a lot of family-friendly personal finance blogs out there. Like, find one that's for you. This one's clearly not. And then we have people who stumble upon it because they're like, oh my God, I love the name. It immediately grabbed my attention. It immediately like set the tone as like, this is kind of an irreverent thing written by, two idiots somewhere in middle America. And yeah, like it has attracted the right audience members and repelled the wrong ones.
No, and repelled the right ones.
Well, there you go. I love that. Yeah, I mean, I remember following you both in the early stages of that blog, and I loved, sometimes I really hate this term, I'm going to use it, branding. It was like very confident. You both knew what you were wanting to put out, and it was very clear. And I think, in my opinion, anyways, that's what drew a lot of people. And so were you both very purposeful in terms of the colors, the design, all of those things?
I think I need to take this moment to compliment Kitty because she is actually a brand strategist in real life. You know, we both sort of have complementary skills. She's a graphic designer by trade and brand strategist. I'm an editor. I have managed social media in the past. And by our powers combined, we are Captain Planet. But I definitely I don't think we would have as strong a brand as we do if it weren't for Kitty's brilliant directing in that way.
Yeah, I think a lot of the visual for the brand came from, I work now for a major, a household name technology company for my day job. And I had spent several years working in brand and visual design for a lot of, major, very corporate companies, so much navy blue. Maybe a medium Kelly green if we're feeling really rambunctious. But in general, it's a great way to make a lot of very safe stuff. And I think because Piggy and I set out with the explicit goal for ourselves that this was going to be something that we do for fun. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel. We're not trying to become mega millionaires. We are not trying to sell books. We're not trying to sell courses. We're not trying to turn this into a career or an empire. We're doing this primarily for fun, secondarily to help people, thirdarily for everything else. And that sort of clarity about what our mission was meant that we never paused in terms of doing exactly what we wanted to. So I think we came up with wild stuff and we were like, yeah, let's do that. And I have the benefit of having this background in brand and visual design. So yes, guys, I'm sorry. It was genius of me to use stock photos that you don't have to legally source because they're in the public domain because they're paintings from a bajillion years ago.
No, let's expand that.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
And you're allowed to be mad at me for it because y'all are running around trying to source photos all the time. And I sure am not. I'm on that Wikimedia Commons. If it's in the public domain, it's in my Dropbox, ready to be utilized.
I feel like a lot of other blogs and money media are using stock photos that are the sort of overexposed, beautiful, lovely, minimalist photos of people, drinking tea or, going to the bank or whatever. And I want to say to those people, those are lovely choices. But did you know just the range of stuff that's in the public domain? And like Kitty said, we wanted to look different. And so obviously we weren't going to use the same stock photos as everybody else. But what that left us with was the entire catalog of art history. And that just made it the choice so easy to, take these classic paintings from, the 16th, 17th, 18th centuries and 19th centuries, right?
Very lightly.
Very lightly. Yeah. So take these old paintings and, stick a filter on top of them and an article title and just it looks incredibly different from whatever else is out there. And one piece of advice that we did take from how to blog was, differentiate yourself from the crowd. And I think that just the images that we use in the graphics in general, it's a great way to signal that.
Yeah, we wanted very intentionally everything that we made to feel like it was disrespectful to someone that we had deemed to be not worthy of respect. And so this kind of
including
idea,
ourselves, especially ourselves,
taking artwork that is sort of revered as this is the correct way to paint a still life. You go to the 1600s into Amsterdam. That's where you're going to get all these beautiful still lifes. And kind of taking these schools, I actually put a ton of thought into the exact schools of paintings that I choose because they're always the ones that are widely considered to be the very best representations of a particular medium. And I just want to take them and just smear them with beautiful, colorful dirt. I want to disrespect them. That vibe of nothing is sacred. We're not interested in being palatable for everyone. It's so fundamentally a part of who both of us are as people, and definitely magnified when we're together. So yeah, it's so much fun. If I'm doing this stuff all the time, it has to be fun. I want it to be fun. If it's not fun, I will play more video games and stop writing about finance. I'm not interested in stuff that's going to bore me. And I think that that's attracted a really unique, really strange audience who maybe wouldn't find much interest in other parts of the vast and labyrinthine personal finance sphere.
Yeah.
And we love them. We love them all so much. And I feel like that irreverence that comes through in the brand and the site design and everything, like that reflects our attitude towards money as well. It's not a city on a hill. Like Wall Street is not some ivory tower. Let me see if I can throw a couple more mixed metaphors in there. It's something that should be accessible and something you can be able to like get down and dirty with. You know, don't think that money is something sacred that is only reserved for a specific group of people that you don't belong to. Money is fake pieces of paper that we have assigned meaning to, and we should treat it like the ridiculous thing it is and, you know, wield its power for ourselves.
Will you be my business partner?
Yes, 1,000 times yes.
I'll ask you all over again.
I love it. It's funny, both of you are mentioning about, I want to differentiate myself. When both of you were just kind of hashing that, I was thinking in the back of my mind, that's like one of the first pieces of advice that I've gotten since I've even started blogging and podcasting. And I'm sure many of those in the personal finance community have heard that as well. Like, look at what's around you, look at your, air quote competition. How do you differentiate yourself? And yet there are many that seem to feel and look the same, right? Like you mentioned the stock photos, maybe with a guy holding wads of cash. I don't know. I'm just naming a random stock photo. Why do you think that is?
It's scary to separate yourself from the pack. If you look out there at any industry, any business model, and you're like, okay, I want to be successful in this industry. Let me look at what's working for other people. Okay, let me try to emulate that because it's working. It's tried and true. And it would be risky and scary and perhaps even expensive to try and break from the mold and try something different that's not tried and true and hasn't proven to be profitable. So like, I get that. I think that that is what's holding a lot of people back. And I think no matter what your creative field is or what your business is, you shouldn't be afraid to try that stuff that's going to break the mold and differentiate you. I think that like being different and authentic to yourself is probably more valuable than sticking with proven profitability.
Yeah. Yeah, I think now authenticity is becoming a bit of a cliche piece of advice for content creators, but like it's absolutely true. I think that no one sets out to be the person who reads an amazing personal finance blog and says, wow, this is so inspirational to me personally. How do I participate in this, right? I think a lot of us found a personal finance blogger or podcaster or writer who really spoke to us. And that kind of like sucked us into this community. And I think a lot of people respond to that like sort of magical sparking joy feeling and said, I have to be a part of this. Like, I want to be a part of this. The real question is like, is your goal to just go out and be another one of that person? If that's the case, you're going to have to hope that that person stops creating content soon and you can kind of step into their shoes and like, you know what? I got into this through Mr. Money Mustache. I'm going to start a blog and I'm going to write about the exact same topics and I'm going to talk about the exact same things and I'm going to espouse the exact same philosophy as this person that I really like and respect, who really inspired me because I want to keep that going. And I think that's just not, for me, that doesn't work. You know, like if someone inspires me, I'll share their stuff, but I'm not going to try to step into their shoes. So I think where we really saw an opportunity was that no one cared as little as we did and was as willing to be silly, to be stupid, to be wrong. I love when I just like misspeak in the middle of a podcast and we just publish it because we're like, who cares?
Who cares?
We're all mortal creatures anyhow. And then someone will be like, hey, you kept using this acronym. It's actually, you got the letters all switched around. And I'm like, thank you so much for you doing my homework
fact checking.
But I think like we saw this opportunity to bring a levity and a nihilistic lack of seriousness to everything that we were interested in about personal finance. And we kind of like never, ever, ever gotten serious feedback from anyone that we respect that would ever deter us from doing that. Like just the number of people who have reached out and told us the opposite, where I kind of can't read any other personal finance blogs. I'm like, then that means that we're doing the right thing. Whereas if we were just putting out the same stuff that everybody else does, I don't know how long I could keep that up trying to be other than exactly the person that I am.
Very well said.
A day. 10 minutes. That's it. 10 minutes.
Yeah. So a few things I'm getting from that. There's that difference between emulating or being inspired versus imitating. So that's kind of where I'm getting from. So maybe the lesson here is like discern that difference before you even start creating something, but don't put too much pressure on it, right? I guess my next question really is, do you feel like some people end up creating content that might be the same as everybody else because of this immediate pressure that they might want to monetize this someday, or they're monetizing right off the bat?
So there was an amazing blog post recently.
I have reread it 3 times, start to finish, because I have found it so incredibly inspirational.
Oh my God, it's amazing.
To bring this up. It's from Beards and Money. It is called The Tragic Comedy of Hubris and Why Personal Finance Blogs Suck Balls.
And everyone should go out and read it.
First of all, how dare you come for our brand like that? We're supposed to be the only ones in the space publishing titles that have the phrase suck balls in them.
Yeah.
How dare you? My lawyers will be in touch.
Yeah, expect a cease and desist from our made-up lawyer.
Dan Goldbutts. What's his name? Why are you
Dan Goldbutts? Yeah, so everyone should go out and read that post. It's amazing. But here, I'm going to, spoiler alert, this is what it's about. It's about how too many people jump into the fray to try and monetize early. And that way they're just imitating each other over and over again and repeating the same hackneyed advice and not really adding anything new to the conversation. Definitely not bringing in a fresh perspective, which if you want to get involved and put your content out there, whether it be YouTube, podcasts, blogs, the thing you have to offer is your perspective, is your beautiful mind, your POV. That is what you have to bring to the table. So if you're not bringing a unique perspective, go do something else. Go play video games with Kitty. Anyway.
Exactly. I'm not very good at shooters and stuff. I'll boost your ego. It'll be fun.
I beat her at, Kingdom Hearts when I was a complete newbie to gaming. So I didn't beat you. I just beat a boss that you couldn't beat by jumping around and pressing X repeatedly. And I was like, this is fun.
I want you to know that what you just said was like saying, I won chess.
I won chess.
All of chess.
I won all of chess. I beat you at Kingdom Hearts.
It's not a PvP game, but bless your soul.
We're getting off topic.
Poor Sarah is dying. Selective memory. It's my favorite thing.
Poor Sarah is realizing she vastly regrets inviting us on a podcast. Anyway, point being, everyone should go read the Beards and Money post because it's absolutely about this very true issue where people are just well, I'm going to monetize too soon. So I'm going to jump in and I'm going to do all the things that all the blogs that make money do. And then they're shocked when all they do is put out content that nobody really reads or really appreciates, and they don't make a lot of money. The reason blogs who make money make that money is because they were either the first to be in that space or they had the unique perspective or what have you. Yeah.
Either they were the first or they're the best. If you know for sure you are not the first, then you better be the best. And I truly, honestly think we are the best at writing personal finance advice for very smart people who are also very stupid, which is identical to very stupid people who are selectively insanely smart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what we do. And people who appreciate a really well-crafted dick joke.
Exactly. I think that what that post really sparked in me, and as I said, I read it start to finish 3 times because I was so emotionally seeking out that experience of reading it again and again for that emotional high of just, yes, this is the validation that I didn't know that I needed on a Tuesday morning or whatever it was published, but it was exactly what I needed because constantly we have a barrage of people who are begging us please, can I write guest posts? I'll do them for free. I'll write about any topic you want. Please, please. I will get emails every single day from people wanting us to talk about sponsored products. And I think if you don't have that clarity of vision, you are very easily sort of torn in 100 different directions trying to monetize this stuff When in actuality for us, we did a lot of thinking and talking about our business model at its core, which is we said for the first few years, we're going to call this a hobby. We're not going to expect to make $1 off of it. In fact, we'll expect to spend a couple hundred of our own bucks every year to just like pay for site hosting and, whatever else we needed. We had no intention of making a dime off of this. We really wanted to see if we can keep this up for a couple of years and it's consistently a source of joy, fulfillment, fun for us, then we're going to think about, okay, now we have an audience. What the heck do we do with them to like squeeze just enough money out of them that we're not doing this stuff out of pocket? And we went back and forth with so many different options of, everyone else is doing affiliate links. They're referencing products and linking them to Amazon.
Sponsorships.
That way. They're doing sponsored posts, kind of all this different stuff. They're doing lots of like live speaking gigs, which by the way, I'll do those. If you want to
be available for your speaking engagement. What did we say our going rate was?
Reach out anytime. We are. Will there be free food? We will be there.
Will there be cake? We will do your event.
Please cake only offers. Okay.
Yeah, cake only. Cake only. It's in our rider.
Don't come to us with those like cronuts or whatever. No. So we talked a ton about like, how are we going to make this sustainable? Because we did reach a certain point where we were like, Piggy was very big at the time for having, she was still freelancing and it was difficult for her to accept freelancing clients while also knowing that she had a schedule to keep with BGR. So we were like, all right, we need to make like tiny, medium amount of money, like medium, small amount. And what we ended up settling on was a donation model where we don't ever want to keep our best advice locked behind a paywall. Mm-hmm. Because what that means is that the people who are getting that advice are the people who can afford to pay for it. That is not why we're here. That's not our interest. That's not our goal or our audience. Like, that's not how we want to treat them. We want to reach out to the people who most are in need of financial guidance. And so for us, like a paywall was a non-starter and giving advice that we didn't feel strongly about was a non-starter. So
recommending products we didn't absolutely love was a non-starter.
Exactly. So what we decided was like, if 1,000 people come to our blog and we can get one of them to say, hey, you guys helped me negotiate with my boss and I'm making $10,000 more every year. We reach out to that person. We say, awesome. We're so happy for you. Would you consider becoming a Patreon donor and giving us a small amount of money every month so that we can take this advice and make sure that it reaches thousands of other people exactly like you who are a little bit younger or a little bit earlier in their careers and can't quite afford that yet. And even if only 1 in 1,000 people say, yeah, I'll give you $1. Yeah, I'll give you $5. I'll give you $20. It doesn't matter because that model actually is working really well for us because that's what helps us have a sense of ethical surety that we're doing the right thing for ourselves, that we're doing the right thing for our audience. And if we're mentioning an investment firm or a financial product, like we never, ever, ever have to worry about like, well, we have to keep SoFi happy because SoFi gave us a bunch of bucks. Like we just don't have to worry about that kind of thing. And it helps us kind of keep in touch with why we do this, which is to help people.
Yeah, totally. I mean, we kind of went with the donation model of monetization early on and have never looked back. And these days it pays my mortgage and it has allowed me to stop freelancing on the side. So now all the hours that I had spent freelance editing, I can dedicate to BGR.
When you lost your job.
Oh, yeah. I lost my job last year.
We put out the call and we're like, hey, if you're not a patron and you have kind of thought about it, but you never had, now's the time. Piggy needs your help. And the children answered the call to action. Like they really
came out of the woodwork.
You afloat during a really scary time.
Oh yeah. I so appreciate it. It was an incredibly humbling experience. And we did everything we could to thank our patrons during that time.
Giving them the out to be like, okay, she has a job again.
Yeah.
You're only here for the guilt trip. This is a general amnesty day. You may now flee, run for the hills, keep your $5 a month. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly. It was as soon as I got a new job, I was like, okay, guys, if you were giving us $1 a month that you can't afford, take it back now. I'm okay. And most of them stuck around, which like, bless them, bless their lovely, generous little hearts.
Beautiful little hearts. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, Sarah. We tend to talk a long time.
You have like pretty much answered all of my questions. Maybe I should have just not even been here.
We just hired our first assistant, and she's
shout out Ducky,
Ducky!
Our assistant.
She's wonderful. We're so happy that we found her, and we were doing some podcast recordings yesterday.
Feels like it's so long ago.
Phew, so much work. Oh my God, we're working too hard.
Back in the halcyon days of our youth of yesterday.
And she was like, we have been going back and forth, and very early in the call, she was like, wow, it's almost like you guys have been friends for like over a decade or something, because your rapport is very, very...
Our hive mind is complete. Our mind meld is very successful. So
love it. One last question. Aside from the fact that you broke all the rules and you're very clear on who you want and don't want to attract, what else do you feel like has been the metric, I guess, of your success in terms of audience growth and engagement?
Oh my gosh. Every time, and this is going to sound like bragging, but every time someone sends us an email or a message on social media that's like, thank you so much. Thanks to your advice, I got a raise, or I stood up to my financially abusive parents, or, I had the courage to apply for this new job. Every time someone sends that, like, we are like Tinkerbell. We require applause to survive in the form of like these people saying thank you. So
our mind meld is so beautiful. My first thought was like, it's the email that we get that says, I left a financially abusive relationship because of your article about X, Y, and Z. I'm like, that is why I do this. When I'm tired, when I'm cranky, when I'm hungry, when I have a lot of stuff to do. And
she's always hungry.
Like I'm constantly in a state of food rage. Like, not only is that why I do BGR, I think slowly over time, it's becoming like one of the principal reasons I get out of bed. I want to tell people my life was harder and you made it easier. My life was sadder and you made it happier. My life was scarier and you made it safer. When I hear that, I'm like, thank you for giving me the energy that I needed to keep doing this for the next like 90 days. I think if I get one of those every couple of months, I'll keep doing it until I'm old and gray, which is coming really fast. Rona really...
For all of us. We all aged 5 years in 2020.
On the development of my new gray hairs. Thanks, Rona. Appreciate you.
It's absolutely the case. And like, speaking of the Rona, hashtag the Rona, at the beginning of the lockdown in 2020, like we very quickly dropped everything and did one article a day for 2 weeks, just about the pandemic, how, it was affecting people's jobs and careers, just like, as information came out, like about the government stimulus and stuff, we were just like doing nothing but researching, writing for those 2 weeks. And like, fortunately, like I did get laid off right before then. So I had the extra time, but it was one of those things where we were like, all right, we feel an obligation to these people who are our audience members, our community members, who have really, like, in a not small way, directed our positions and the topics that we've covered over the years. We are very open to feedback from not people who tell us we need to swear less, but people who are regular readers and definitely sort of get what we're going for. But yeah, we did nothing but publish an article a day for those 2 weeks because we realized, like, this is a watershed moment. Things are happening right now that are really important. And if there are people looking to us for information, for advice, for reassurance, then we absolutely 100% need to be there for them in that situation. It was a lot of work, but I really enjoyed that level of pressure and that sense that we were doing something to give back to our community.
Piggy, you just really, first of all, love you. You inspire me.
I know.
But you also kind of reminded me of something that I think kind of ties back to some of the other things that we were talking about, where talking about like what differentiates us. And I think there's a lot of things. We have a naughty word in our blog title. Like there's a lot of things that we do. Like we have pink stuff. Wow. We're so
hot pink on our website.
So there's that kind of stuff. And in a way, it's so surface level, right? But fundamentally, what is the most radical thing about you and I? I haven't told you this. This is brand new information.
Oh, I'm excited.
You expanded my brain. I got a really glowing brain now, so I'm going to tell you about it. I think what sets us apart from a lot of people who write in this space is our attitude toward our readers, which is fiercely loving, infinitely understanding and empathetic, maternal, specifically in a grizzly mama sort of way.
Oh, yeah.
Like every reader who writes into us with a story about like, I'm being paid less than my coworkers at work, or I'm being sexually harassed at work, or my parents aren't honoring my pronouns, or like whatever they're writing in about, I'm like, hello, we just met and I'm ready to kill for you and or die for you. Like I am ready to take this all the way to the end. And I think if you write, like if I was sort of speaking to someone who's thinking about being a content creator or who's already a content creator and trying to think about like how they could get more in touch with like how to get that either you're the first or the best kind of energy, what really helps is like, how do you feel about your audience? And if your idea of your audience is like dummies who don't know how to spend their money, people who are wasting $15 a day at Starbucks.
Or even just like customers, people to extract value from.
Yes. Like if that's how you think about your audience, I don't know how you have the energy to do anything for them. We truly are like, we try to be servants of our audience. Like our wisdom is limited, but we will give it to you. Any topic you ask of us, we will try to talk about it, and we will try to put as many funny gifs from 90s
cartoons
shows as we can into it to make it as palatable as possible to you. Like that is our goal. And so I think like really how you feel about your audience says so much about the content that you create. And I fundamentally feel that our audience is smart. They don't have a lot of money, but they know what makes them happy. Those are the people that I want to empower. Whatever freaking little tricks I've figured out as a middle-class adult, they're yours.
We are basically Mother Teresa ministering to the little children, is I think what you can get from that.
I've heard a lot of things about Mother Teresa. I think the tides have turned on on Mama T. Mama T got canceled.
Did Mama T get canceled? Oh, I missed that one. She got
a little canceled.
I missed that one. I know Gandhi's also been canceled.
I know what other Catholic? So you're like,
it's true. It's true. I'm a recovering Catholic. No, we like insert your favorite humanitarian icon here. Like that's who we are.
Latrice Royale would be.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, awesome. Thank you for saving my voice for speaking for most of him.
You are so welcome, Sarah. Sarah's sitting there like, oh my God, they're still going.
Had my dinner, drinking my, bubbly water. It's all good.
Business partner is also like your best Judy from college. I said this to someone I work with the other day. I was like, I am an ENTJ with ADHD. Hercules himself could not hold my jaws shut. I will talk the full time. Thank you very much.
Well, ladies, thank you so much for coming on.
Of course.
Where can everyone find you and your Patreon and all of those things?
You can find us at bitchesgetriches.com. There you can either choose to check out the blog or the podcast, season 3 out soon. You can follow us on Twitter, Tumblr, Pinterest, and Instagram. And you can do all of that at bitchesgetriches.com.
That was so professional. I'm proud of you.
Well, thank you so much.
Well, again, Piggy and Kitty, thank you so much for coming on the Plutus Awards podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we appreciate you. We are such huge, legit stans of the Plutus Foundation. Everything you guys do.
Yes. Thank you to everything the Plutus Foundation does.
The voices that you guys magnify are absolutely our favorite. And this is not blowing smoke up your butt. Like maybe it is, but also it is the truth. Like clearly we're not interested in
no, we have no smoke to be blown. You're doing the Lord's work.
Yeah, for real.
But I'm not Mother Teresa.
But you're not Mama T. She would never.
No, Mama T. No. All right, ladies. Thanks again.
Thanks, Sarah.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Let's take a look at some lessons we can learn from my conversation with Bitches Get Riches. Number 1 is don't be afraid to be yourself. So as you heard throughout our entire conversation, Both Piggy and Kitty were really unapologetic about who they are and their approaches to money, and even the way that they design the graphics and the colors they use on their website. So find some way to be yourself. And it doesn't have to be as loud and grandiose as Bitches Get Riches. It could be talking about your love of gardening or a Pez dispenser collection, whatever you can do to incorporate that into your blog or podcast or whatever it is that you do. You will then attract the people who are most likely to really get a lot out of your content. Lesson number 2 is take the pressure off creating great content. At the very beginning of your entrepreneur journey or blogging journey, not many people are going to read it. So take that time to really experiment and redefine or really hone in on what your voice is in the personal content space. And again, not many people are going to be reading or listening, so take that time to have fun with it as well. Lesson number 3 is to make sure that you really care and know your audience. Again, as you heard from my conversation with Piggy and Kitty, they really, really care about those who are reading their blog and even those who are part of their Patreon community. So for you, yes, I'm sure you care about your audience, whoever's listening or reading your stuff, but is there a way to make sure that they know that so they're going to keep coming back for more, and hopefully you can build a really loyal community? Now, before I let you go, I want to tell you about the Plutus Awards coming up in September 23, 2021 in Austin, Texas. The award show, co-hosted by Joe Salsihai and Natalie Torres Haddad, celebrates excellent and independent financial media. After last year's virtual awards ceremony, the Plutus Awards team is grateful that we can all return in person to present a fun and meaningful event. Now, if you want to nominate someone for the People's Choice Awards, the nominations are still open. So go to plutusawards.com/nominate to nominate your favorites in the financial media industry. And that's it from me. Thank you so much for listening to the Plutus Awards podcast, and I'll catch you on the next episode.